Okay. So here is my Vito Corleone impression from The Godfather. 1, 2, 3. Count to three. 1, 2, 3. No, man, that's not really it. The real impression of Vito Corleone is, I'm gonna make him an offer that he can't refuse. Welcome to Stephen Johnson's Stocks.
Tough market to play. I think we know how much that especially for mine. 2016 has been
insane. Welcome to Stephen Johnson Stocks. Guys, very packed show, so I'm just going to get straight into it. Okay, the reason that I'm mentioning The Godfather is because the challenge in silver, it reminds us of The Godfather, and these guys are kind of the godfathers of penny stocks. But I'm talking about The Godfather because it's like every time you watch a fucking webinar or a video lesson, you get something else different out of it. And it's the same as the movie. Every time you watch it, you get something different, so you have to watch it again and again and again. And that's what I love about Challenge and Silver membership. But let's go straight into it. Highlights from Tim Bowen this week, Mark Crook, Tim Sykes. I'll see ya in the next level.
He gives recaps on what he's trading, what he's doing well, what he's not doing well. And this goes back to a very old pattern that I've learned way back, the penny stocking framework pattern. It's a classic one. It's in a DVD by Tim, and it's also extensively gone over by Mark Crook in a ton of webinars. It's the first pattern I learned to make money on the daily chart. And then after that, it was the multi-month breakout on tip from Tim Grattani, also from the challenge. But this is a solid daily pattern to make money from. I cannot dip buy intraday for shit, but I can dip buy on the daily charts, and I learned it from Tim and Mark. So without further ado, Mark.
And the most important thing is to focus on the most volatile plays that are down way off of their highs. And PULM is the first one I'll talk about. There are a few of them. I am long one over the weekend, and we'll talk about this one first. You can see that PULM had the massive run up to 680, then the big first red day. Great run up, great run down, and never really seemed to find its footing until it dropped down to the low threes. And really that was kind of a key area. You can see that this big 3-day run topped out in the low threes, and that's where it found support. Remember, former resistance becomes support, and
I mean, Mark goes on to look at it intraday, but it's just to show you the opportunity that, like, and you don't even need to catch it on the 3, because often with this pattern, it also gaps up and runs the next day as well. So it's a very solid pattern that I learned from the framework and on the challenge, and it's definitely one that you should look out for. Really good solid pattern. It doesn't always come around all the time, but when it does, you can make money from it.
Sometimes Tim Bowen fills in for Tim Sykes when he's away. He often does guest webinars. I always like to look forward to watching them. And this is a really cool summary of EYEG. Really very strong setup, and something that everyone should be watching for. And Tim Bowen explains why.
Midday, this is like, this is what I love as a part-time or new trader. IG yesterday was freaking beautiful. VWAP play, okay? So what do we got with IG? I talk about all the time building the case, okay? I don't want to just randomly trade some bullshit stock that's up on the day, just like ONCS today, okay? There was no reason for ONCS to be up today. It fails. IG, different. It was up big. It's low float. It had news. It was holding VWAP. It was breaking whole dollar, half dollars. And what I love about it is if I miss, say in theory, I miss the mid-morning play, I come back at noon, I bring up my stocks to trade, I'm looking at the big percentage gainers of the day. IG is there. I see its news. I see its low float. I see it's holding at or around VWAP. It's holding at or around a whole dollar, half dollar, 250. And then I just wait. And then I see, and keep in mind, VWAP is just a tool, okay? It doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. You know, nothing's guaranteed, but it's a tool, and it's often a self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of traders right now use VWAP. It's hot. It's trendy. Algos use it. Hedge funds use it. Pretty much everybody that's actively trading.
So you can really see how like Tim Bourne builds a case and saying like it's the whole dollar, half dollar. It's breaking VWAP. It's holding its highs. It's got news. There's a lot that separates this, and also again, just to recap for part-time traders, it has multiple runs. It's ran in the morning. It's came down. It's consolidated around VWAP. It's pushed again. Multiple buys on this stock. Wait for the volume to come in here. So, I mean, for me, I've seen this a lot more. For me, I focus a lot more on just being disciplined, because I've kind of learned this stuff, but I've learned it all through the challenge. So if this is new to you guys, then yeah, Premium Silver, the challenge, it's where you're going to learn all the information. Okay, so Jonk does penny stocking. It was done. It was finished, okay? And then I came across this Tim Sykes video, and there was two major reasons why I wanted to include it. And the first is that when you see the Tim Sykes videos on YouTube, there is some trade analysis, there is some kind of congratulating people. But what you don't realize is that when you're a part of the Silver program, like there is additional videos that goes in depth into psychology, like, and it goes in depth into actual trade analysis. And this is one of the examples of the videos, so I wanted to share it with you.
You need to push your ego down. And some of you guys were asking me, Tim, like, you're so good at cutting losses. How do you do it? You learn from enough bad trades. You learn from enough big losses. And I know that's, you know, not what you want to hear, because you're like, shit, so I have to have a big loss to get disciplined? And the answer for most people, sadly, is yes. You know, you hear me say that rule number one is cutting losses quickly. You understand that. I mean, we're both speaking English when I explain this to you. But until you have a giant loss where you really are just so disgusted with yourself and the stock market, and you're thinking of giving up, and, you know, you're looking at the screen and you're looking at a giant loss on your account, it just doesn't hit home. I've been teaching for 10 years.
Yeah, and I think it's such an important point that is so frequently overlooked. And unfortunately, yeah, sometimes you have to make the wrong decisions to learn the lesson. And what I realized about being in the challenge is that when I subscribe, I'm not just getting taught how to trade stocks. That's 50%. What I'm really being taught, and the other 50% is it's Tim Sykes is like a fucking life coach. He's a coach to make sure that you stay on track, stay disciplined, and do the right shit. And the psychology element is so fucking important. No one realizes it. Everyone just thinks you've got to trade the right patterns, but it is like, I would say it is 70% psychology, 30% technical analysis. And on How to Make Millions, Tim talks for an hour at the start of the video, and everyone's like, oh, get to the next part, Tim. But what I realize now, the hindsight that I see, is that you fucking need that psychology. And Tim, if you're watching, I see why you're doing it now. I get it. Thank you. Okay guys, that is a wrap. You will see my normal weekly recap tomorrow. It's one day early because I am going to see Guns and Motherfucking Roses tomorrow. Favorite band of all time, so I'm going to dedicate this exit to them. Okay, if you liked this, if you liked it, thumbs up. Okay, if you didn't like it, thumbs down. I can turn this loud, right? I can turn it loud. Woo!
Oh